Dooba dooba.
Hey! It's me again and welcome into another video. So, today's video marks the start of some art videos. Now, I've been wanting to do some art content for a while, just haven't. But I've got a bunch of ideas for art challenges, and we're starting with this one, which is essentially turning myself into an Arcane character. Now, let's talk about Arcane real quick. I've been watching Arcane over on the Patreon with my Patreon people. We've done season 1, season 2 will be happening. I think it will have started by the time you're watching this. And I love the art style. That's like one of my favourite aspects to the show. I think it's really beautifully created. And I do enjoy art and drawing and illustration myself. So I thought I would challenge myself to turn this into an Arcane character. Okay, I'm gonna just quickly get together some references and then we can crack on in because I don't know how long this is gonna take me, but yeah. So BRB, just gonna get some references and then I'll be back. As you can see, I'm currently working with a screen recording. Obviously this is my first one, so I'm not too sure the best system to do this, but I am working on my iPad. If you're wondering, I'm using Procreate in terms of like program. It's generally what I tend to use. Now I've got a few references, the full faces of Powder / Jinx, I guess, and Vi, mainly just for like facial structure and like more of like the artist style. And then I also grabbed a picture of Vanda just because facial hair is a bit sparse in the show. So I needed a way of like referencing that because I wasn't too sure how to go about creating my facial hair. So I thought Vanda's beard would have been a good one. I think what I'm going to work on is mainly just my face and doing more of a portrait, just because the idea of trying to do a full body situation with a pose, a setting, all that kind of thing sounds a bit daunting today just because this is my first one, but who knows, in the future we maybe can tackle a little bit more. But I think for this one we're just going to be doing a portrait, okay? Now this is going to be quite challenging for me just because usually my style is kind of realism. Like, I'm not the most cartoony of artists, so this is me trying something new. Now I do think I'm gonna kind of do myself a service here and make me look maybe a little bit more chiseled in terms of like structure of my face than maybe I am in real life, so you're just gonna have to deal with that. So let's just start off by kind of like roughing in a face shape. Now my head, to be honest, it doesn't really have much like undulation anywhere. It's kind of flat and then it just goes in at the bottom. I kind of like what Powder's going on, where she's not really got much of a neck and it's kind of like a more down angle. So I'm gonna kind of start the shoulders pretty high up, so then I can kind of give maybe my character a bit bigger of a brow bone. My nose is pretty small in comparison to the rest of my face, I feel like. Then obviously I do have my mustache. Okay, so this is kind of a rough sketch. Looks terrible right now. I understand that. But this gives me a good base to now create more of a refined sketch. So once again, I'm going to take that really far down and we're going to start working on more of a refined sketch to then add colour, to then add shading, etc. Okay, this is kind of my process generally. I tend to do a few sketches before I really get into the final piece. So yeah. Now I do tend to start with the nose. So I'm going to start with the nose here. Just because I find it anchors the face really well. I don't know, it's just the way I've always done things. Now I do like how on a lot of the Arcane characters, the eyebrows kind of like do go upwards, like they don't really droop all that much, especially on Vi and Powder. Obviously they are women, but I kind of like that. So I'm going to give myself a slightly more straight brow rather than these like more arched round brows. Oh, me and Vi have got the same nose ring. Lovely gal. Then the pupils are pretty big. Then I'm thinking, I kind of like the idea of like leaning into the curls / wave of my hair a little bit. So I'm gonna kind of bring some of the curls a bit further forward, kind of how like Powder has. And I do find as well a lot of their hair is a bit more geometric than obviously like a lot of other art styles. I do have a very thin upper lip, so I'm gonna have to, you know, stay true to that. She is thin. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I do kind of like the idea of maybe having a slightly skew with expression. You know, like I mean business. Like it's not, like it's a pretty serious show, to be honest. Okay, so this is kind of our more refined sketch. Definitely easier to work with, definitely easier to see kind of the elements. I'm also thinking normally I have my earrings in, so I think it could be kind of cool to almost make them a bit more of a feature. Like, usually they're not too big, but I feel like let's over-exaggerate them, you know? Like, my hair's not this crazy, but I feel like in the nature of what we're doing, I think it's kind of fun to make everything kind of like a bit more exaggerated, a bit more interesting to look at. Maybe like a fun one? I don't know. Something through the ear, maybe. Like, I feel like I'm an underground guy. If you've seen Arcane, you'll know what I mean. Let's remove that buccal fat. You know, why the hell not? This is the fun thing about drawing. You can literally do whatever you want. So, yeah, this is the general gist. I feel like we're ready for colour at this point. So I'm going to multiply that layer and start dragging, dropping some colours, and then we can work from there. I feel like my mustache is almost channeling the like small professor guy. I can't remember what his name is off the top of my head, but I feel like because it kind of comes over my lip, I feel like it kind of is like it's giving him. Okay, so once I've then deleted the top layer, this looks terrible, right? This is very much trust the process situation, but it kind of gives you more of a smoother situation that we can work with, because obviously the Arcane stuff is obviously 3D animation, smooth skin, that sort of thing, not sketchy. So that means now we still kind of have the features in place with like kind of a hint of the colors, and we can really start going in and adding depth and refining it even further. So I'm now going to also switch my pen into more of an ink, just because I feel that's going to help us get a more sharp, crisp line, so we can really start seeing some lines come together. Now, I will say I find that my eyes are quite sunken into my face. Obviously, this lighting doesn't really give you a real idea of what my facial structure can look like on the daily. But usually, like with normal lighting, like I do have quite deep set eyes. So I'm going to kind of lean into that, because I feel that's also going to give us kind of this like more mysterious energy, you know? Okay, so it's now voiceover Brad, just because you didn't need more footage of my face. But you're going to notice throughout this process that I start doing a few reshapings of the face and the structure and whatnot, and start blocking in some bigger pieces of colour, which will then be blending out later down the line. The reason for changing like the structure of the face is just because I was going for more of like a chin down, looking up towards the point of view kind of vibe, which the initial structure wasn't really giving as much. So, yes. So, Guys, just been off camera, just finished off all the blocking, and now we can come back and we can start on some of the more exciting detail work. Yeah, so as I said, I was going to make the earrings a bit more of a statement, which I think is working quite well. Like, I think it makes me look a bit more hard. Get to the body towards the end, but for now we're just going to be focusing on the face. So all I'm really going to be doing is I'm going to be going in with the colours that we've already got in slightly deeper shades and adding some depth. And my favourite thing to do when it comes to artwork is blending. I love blending. Like, this is the step that's really going to start taking it to the next level, and it's just a case of building, building, building. Now I'm thinking almost going like black in like the eye sockets, just because I want them to be really, really deep. Now I did add this kind of like peachy colour just because as we all know, if you've been here a while, if you're new, hello, but I do have somewhat of like a red flush about me pretty often. People don't fail to let me know, so I thought, let's try and make that cool, because it doesn't feel cool that often. See now, guys, you will find that eyes are my favourite thing to do, so I'm going to try not to spend too long on them because I could keep adding to eyes. It's almost like an equation. Not to turn this into maths, because we're not doing maths, you know? I like the process, blending, blending, blending until you get somewhere that's like realistic looking. I think that's why I like realism so much. I like the strategy of trying to turn something into realistic art, if that makes sense. I don't know, I just think it's fun. And I know some people that can't stand shading. My best friend being one of them. Can't stand it, hates it. So he doesn't do it. That's not the kind of art that he creates. But I love it. But I do think, because I've got brown eyes, I kind of want to add in some more like vibrant oranges, just because I think like that may be kind of cool and kind of lean into the arcane of it all. Now I do want the under eyes to look a bit more dirty, and to be honest, I'm going to go in with some deeper colours in the crease, I think, as well, because we've got to show that we've got a bit of trauma, you know? The whole fucking show is about trauma, to be honest, isn't it? So I feel like the more deeper set the eyes look like a bit more troubled, you know? That's kind of the energy. Because what I have noticed, guys, through doing this, is the characters really don't have eyelashes. And that's one thing that I find really fascinating, because normally I find that without eyelashes, eyes tend to look a little bit weird. Like, eyelashes is one of my favourite steps to do. I almost go a bit overboard when it comes to eyelashes. This is one of my favourite things to do. So you obviously do like a really stark black line, right? You can take the opacity down kind of halfway, or in this case a little bit lower, and it gives you a really nice shadow that's like nice and crisp, and it's really easy to do. So yeah, quick tip for you there. But anyway, I'm kind of gonna allow us to go into like a time-lapse situation now, just because I'm gonna be just making everything more and more intense and whatnot. So yeah, I won't have too much to say. Let's go to a time lapse and let's get this thing done. Okay, so voiceover Brad back again. Just to kind of tell you guys a storyline that I tried to go with this piece. Now, I don't intend to give my pieces a storyline, but I felt like for Arcane it was pretty important. So I came back to this piece a couple of days later, just because it was taking me a long time, just because of how detailed it was. And I decided, since I was leaning into the whole orange eyes and stuff, and how in Arcane we do have the hex tech and we have the shimmer, the story I tried to go with my piece was as if there was a different substance, an orange substance maybe, that I'd been infected with or injected with, whatever, or I chose to inject myself, and it kind of gave me my own orangey aesthetic. So, yeah. And then it was finally time to think about the body, which I had been wondering about for a while. I wasn't too sure what kind of vibe I wanted to go with, but I decided on going just with a simple white, I think some people call them wife beaters, but I'm going to call it a vest because I don't like the phrase wife beater. So I went with a white vest, and then my friend had the idea of maybe leaning into like more of like a bionicle arm, kind of like the technology that we see in the show. So I just got a stock image online of a typical armor arm situation, and obviously just like modified it accordingly, and kind of just used it as like a base for what I was going to go for. And then just to lean into the orange thing, like the orange liquid storyline a little bit more, I also added a tube that kind of flows from the bionicle arm into my body that's filled with the orange liquid. And with a few final touches, it was done. Okay, and with that, this is over. Okay, this is the final piece. I shall put it on screen. Let me know your thoughts down below. I really like it, right? I think it's very Arcane vibes. Don't get me wrong, I think with a few more tries, maybe I could perfect the Arcane style a little bit more. But I think for my first try, I'm very pleased with what I've been able to pull out of my arse. And obviously this is my first ever art video and like filming the process and everything. So I'm pleased with myself. I'm not going to beat myself up because I've got a tendency to do that. I'm happy with it. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you think I could have done better, let me know what elements you maybe would have preferred to see. And yeah, who knows? Maybe we can try this again, or maybe do you know what would be really cool is if we did like celebrities or something in like the style of something. That could be cool, like putting Billie Eilish in Arcane would have been cunty, wouldn't it? But yeah, I've got a bunch of different ideas. If you guys have any other ideas for other art challenges or just art videos in general, let me know in the comments. I'm hoping to make these kind of like a regular thing over on this second channel just because I really did enjoy making this one. And yeah, I think that's everything. If you do want to watch my Arcane reactions, feel free to check out my Patreon, it's linked down below. We've done season 1, season 2 is just beginning. By the time you're watching this, the first 3 episodes will be up. So yeah, check it out if you want. And until next time, love you guys lots and see you soon. Goodbye.